Hello and welcome to coverage of the TCGPlayer Max Point Invitational. Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Frank Lepore.
How's it going, guys?
And we are just about underway in the first round of action here, Frank, where we have, well, one of what I hope to be many major clashes out there in the field.
I have little doubt that there will be many major clashes.
Yeah, I think so too.
We got Shuhei on the left, Shenhar on the right.
Yeah. So Blue-Black Dragons for Shenhar. Shuhei, who I bumped into this morning on the way in and said, how you feeling, Shuhei? What are you running? How's Vegas been treating you? And, he said, I haven't had much time to practice yet.
He said, yeah, I heard that. I was there for that conversation. And
yeah.
He was like, I just checked the daily events and I just found a deck.
Yeah, he said, copy, paste.
Yeah.
So here we go.
And I was just like, well, you're playing Siege Rhino, so it can't be that bad.
Yeah, and he's Shuhei Nakamura. He's one of the greatest players, full stop,
yes,
just in Magic history. So I'm not worried about him, but it is interesting that, his travel schedule and stuff has made it difficult for him to test. He's going to run his Courser of Crufix into a Silumgar Scorn here. He knew it was going to get countered. You saw him sort of flip it onto the table there, but he figured he better keep doing something.
There's no permanence to, well, actually, yeah, the Courser of Crufix obviously goes to the graveyard. Doesn't even have to reveal. Those are the best Silumgar Scorn when you're like, oh, I don't even have to reveal because the Force Spike is good enough.
Yeah. I think he needed it to be, too. I don't think he actually has a dragon in his hand. Meanwhile, Fleecemane Lion on turn 2 from Shuhei's doing work here, rumbling into the red zone a couple of times, and Shuhei's had enough of running his spells into counters. He's even got a Thoughtseize. It's just he doesn't have anything that he's trying to push through.
Yeah, you definitely want to play the Thoughtseize on the same turn you try to resolve the threat, minimizes the chance of them having something else.
Taking a look at Shahar's deck list, and he's actually just on Esper Dragons here.
Yeah, definitely. He's got the Dragonlord Ojutai, so it's definitely a white list. It's always funny because Dragonlord Ojutai is the only white card in the list, so it's like, well, you basically don't, Blue-Black has enough tools where you don't actually even need a third color, except for this really sweet, solid finisher.
Yeah. And there's a Thoughtseize from Shahar.
Shuhei's like, I don't know if I want to let you see my hand.
I think he's got an Obzon Charm.
Oh, so he might use it in response.
Yeah, he could. I think that was the only card I saw that he could fire off at instant speed.
Yeah, he's got another Thoughtseize. He's got a Thoughtseize of his own, which is it's very disciplined for him to actually save that Thoughtseize. A lot of players would just Thoughtseize you. I have a Thoughtseize.
Totally.
I didn't do anything. I'll Thoughtseize you.
Yeah.
But he knows that it's a tool, so you got to use it when you need it.
Right. Oftentimes you'll see them use it at the last minute before an Ojutai could come down. That would be the next turn. He used it to draw 2 cards, the Obzon Charm. Or they'll use it when they have a threat that they want to push through.
It's funny because that was actually a pretty good use of Obzon Charm. It worked out for him because he drew 2 lands, which can't be discarded. And the other cards in his hand were Bioblight, Crux of Fate, so the only relevant card that Shahar could take was the
Thoughtseize anyway,
right.
Yeah.
And which, if he didn't do that, he would have probably taken the Abzan Charm because it's just card advantage for Shuhei.
Yeah, this sets up Shuhei quite nicely because he's going to be able to hit his land drop here.
And there's 2 Scrylands in hand, which is...
Yeah, I think he's going to not play his Scryland this turn just because he wants to have Fleecemane Lion Monstrous active.
Yes, and it's a risky proposition though. You want to... It's nice because Shahar doesn't have double black. So he's actually free to just monstrous it right now if he wants to.
Which he did?
Which he did, yeah. He's
like, look, you've got blue, white. He's like, I'm not worried, yeah.
So without a black mana, it's very... This is actually going to be pretty hard to deal with for Shahar unless he has, Perilous Vault.
Which this deck usually doesn't run, though. A couple times it pops up.
He has 2 Crux of Fate.
Yeah, he's got one of them in his hand. He has to settle for Dragonlord Ojutai, which he just drew.
He has 2 Foultongue Invocation and 1 Ugin, which can deal with Fleecemane Lion.
Yeah, Foultongue's sort of the... Oh, nice draw there from Shuhei.
That's always a solid gentleman.
Yeah.
Also, I'll name dragons.
Yeah, well, so for this one, he just gets to fire it off.
That's not even Crux of Fate.
Yeah, but indestructibility is not bad, it turns out, when you're trying to wrath the board. This is a more controlling Obzon deck here for Shuhei Nakamura.
Yeah, usually when they have the sweepers in the main deck, it's more of the controlling version.
Right. He's also got 3 Elspeths.
Yeah, and no Sylvan Caryatids.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
A lot of the Abzan decks are very similar, but they have these little minor characteristics that make them seem either more mid-rangey or more controlling. And Shahar said, I have no reasonable expectation of dealing with that guy in 2 turns.
Wow, that's insane.
1 Fleecemane Lion.
Shuhei putting on a little clinic there. That was nice game.
If someone told me a year ago that Fleecemane Lion would be one of the premier threats in the format, and it would just be insanely hard to deal with, I probably would have laughed. I would have been like, I don't know about all that. That's a little bit much.
Yeah.
but it's just like if you can monstrous it, like it's just real hard to deal with.
Yeah, Fleecemane Lion has become my go-to card when describing mid-range strategies.
Yeah, and that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because it does play an early game. It's a very aggressive creature,
Yeah.
but on the same hand, like if you play it in the mid game, like it's much more valuable.
Yeah,
like,
and even in the late game.
Yeah,
I've seen people play it in monsters in the
point.
same turn. Yeah.
Like,
Which is kind of the definition of a mid-range card for me.
I agree, actually. That's a good point.
Yeah. Yeah, of course, if you're playing against an aggressive deck, it comes down early enough to actually, get some blocks
Which
in.
is funny because a 3/3 for 2 is an incredibly aggressive creature as well.
Yes.
Like back in the day, we had Watchwolf, and Watchwolf was serious business. And this event today, this whole weekend, is brought to you by TCGPlayer.com. It's the largest marketplace for collectible gaming products. We have Card Fight Vanguard, Pokemon, HeroClix, Yu-Gi-Oh, and of course, Magic the Gathering. So if you guys are looking for cards or even looking to sell your own cards, head on over to TCGPlayer.com and check it out.
I have a favorite out of those games.
I'm a big fan of Pokemon too, so I share your interest.
You got me.
What's your favorite Pokemon?
I don't know any of them.
You don't have to be shy. You're among friends. It's
I
okay.
wish I did. Tell me a cool one.
I don't actually know that many.
Rashad likes one that has like it squirts water.
Oh, Squirtle. I would. It felt like you were saying.
Oh,
is it Blastoise?
I don't know.
Isn't Blastoise
I just know he
evolved
likes
form
that
of Squirtle?
one. He's got like one of them hanging.
Right. So Blastoise is the final form. That's true. Back in my day, Rashad's giving us a Pokemon back in my day story.
He's got one hanging from the rearview mirror of his Jeep.
I'm
not kidding.
No,
it just flaps around. Also on his keychain.
He has multiples?
I know the guy.
That dude is fancy. I'm sad that you guys cannot see this Blastoise keychain that Rashad is showing us right now.
Yeah, he's explaining how one of the cannons has fallen off.
That's what happens. That happens to a lot of Blastoises in their old age.
Yeah, why don't we jump over to the other match while these guys finish shuffling up and getting their mulliganing finished. We can see what Mike Sigrist is up to over there. You can see hand on his head there. He's playing against Adrian Sullivan.
Mike Sigrist was a top 8 competitor of Pro Tour, was it Cons of Stark here? Or was it Favorite Forge? Cons?
Mm-hmm.
That's right, because Favorite Forge was Atlanta?
Yeah, two tournaments later, 2 Pro Tours later, that guy found himself in the top 8. We've got 2 top 8 competitors battling.
Oh yeah, Adrian Sullivan. This is a dual Pro Tour top 8 match.
It is.
Yeah, both of these matches are pretty solid. I would say. So Adrian
to
Sullivan,
say the least, yes.
To put it lightly. So Adrian Sullivan
great.
has his typical blue-black control deck running Ashocks. Adrian probably has maybe 1 or 2 win conditions in this deck if I know Adrian. With these upside down cards. Liliana. It's funny because Liliana is a very polarizing planeswalker. I've had this discussion with Melissa before, and she just hates. She's like, I just don't think this card does anything.
I've heard that argument too.
Yeah, but then there's other people who think, oh, she's just fantastic when you draw her. Like you just want a 1-of, and like it gets you out of situations, and like the discard's relevant. And like there's people who love one Liliana, and there's people who just think it does nothing.
What camp are you in?
I think I like it. Like it just like I'm a fan of tutoring mechanics. Like being able to tutor for all your. But the thing is, like, I'm from a school where like tutoring was, you had really powerful silver bullets, Whereas nowadays, I don't think you do. I think you just have like more generic answers, like, oh, I'll get a hero's downfall.
There are a few though.
And then, of course, I'm having this.
There are yet a few left.
I'm having this conversation after he goes for Ugin and plays.
Yeah, well, I mean, he also has to have 8 mana. I think your point stands.
There's definitely a stipulation on that.
But that was pretty nice. He basically
definitely
soaked up 3 damage with Liliana and set up playing his Ugin.
All right. Man, I've been playing. I play a lot of standard, on Magic Online, obviously, because I do videos each week. But like every time someone plays an Ugin, it's just like, well, that's real hard to beat.
Yeah, Ugin has really made his impact known. We've even seen him show up in Modern.
Yeah. Oh yeah. In the Tron decks.
In the Tron decks.
He has a very similar feel to Karn because you're able to exile things, which is very relevant because graveyards are a big thing.
For sure.
But also like he can just lightning bolt you to death.
All right, so he's going to use Ugin to wipe away the entire board, then pop up, and now wipe away a Siege Rhino. So it looks like Adrian Sullivan has taken very nice control here, and wow.
Yeah, so apparently you don't need that many threats in your deck when you just steal your opponent's Siege Rhinos.
All right, let's jump back over to our main match here. as our players are back underway. You can see Shenhar, Shuhei Nakamura. Game 1 was pretty swift.
That was a very quick game. And
yeah.
like the funny thing is Shuhei played like one threat, literally one threat.
He did.
One Fleecemane Lion, and that was all you needed.
Yeah. Yeah, the other thing got countered, and that was about all she wrote. So
one of the big issues with the Esper deck is that all of the cards cost double blue, double black. Like all the relevant cards. You have Bile-Blight, Hero's Downfall, Dig Through Time, Dissolve, Silumgar Scorn. They're all double colored. You know, so if you draw like a Temple of Enlightenment, it's not going to help you cast your main removal spells. Or if you draw an island, it's not going to help you cast your Hero's Downfall. You know, it's just the mana is surprisingly, I want to say bad, but maybe it's just restrictive, you know?
Yeah.
For a 3-color deck. For a mostly 2-color deck that just splashes for Ojutai. I like this layout of Shuhei after getting Thoughtseize. He keeps one Thoughtseize down with his lands. Because he has 2 in hand, so you can only take 1. So.
He's just making it easy on
Shenhar.
Yeah,
it's just a very clever way to do it. Like, these are your options, a Thoughtseize or an Elspeth. What do you take here if you're Shenhar?
You know, I'm trying to look at Shahar's hand, and that's really the question.
Yeah.
If he wants to protect something like an Ojutai in his hand or an earlier counterspell or whatever, then he can take the Thoughtseize. But if he feels like the Elspeth is going to have a chance to come down this game, then he's going to have to take care of that.
How significant of an advantage do you feel that going first is?
In this matchup or just in general?
In general, I think, because like it feels like it favors. I feel like there's a heavy favoring on who goes first.
Yeah, it's 3% or whatever. I mean, it matters. It's not nothing. All right, we'll try to get our screen back up here as soon as we can, and yeah, maybe we can even see from here through the water bottle of Shuhei Nakamura.
The Fiji water bottle.
Yeah.
This is the Max Point Invitational Fiji advertisement.
they thank you. I've actually got one of those.
Yes,
right
I know.
what is going on
here? This is apparently the preferred water bottle of Las Vegas.
No kidding. And you see a deft Rashad Miller jump into the screen here as he's attempting to hook back up our main camera. We'll have to stick on this side camera for the moment here, though, as we watch Shenhar and Shuhei.
You can see Brandon
Duke
Nelson in the background.
Oh yeah, there he is. Yeah, there's a bunch of big names out there in the field today.
It's funny because the list keeps growing the more I walk out there, which is just awesome. Like it's whenever you're doing coverage, you're like having to find feature matches. It makes it so much easier when you're
I see our returning champ on the right. That's Andy Beckstrom over there eating his T-shirt. I see a Gabby Sparts in the field there.
Yeah, it's definitely that's what I mean. Like there's just multiple. Andrew Beckstrom being the last year's champion.
Yep. If Huey were to stand up, we would see him immediately, though probably not his head.
Or if he wasn't slouching, we'd probably still see him.
Also true. Rashad's still working on getting us our main overhead cam, so we'll have to sort of sit tight here and bear with us for a few moments. The other match is also still shuffling up. Once that one's ready, we'll jump over there until we get our technical issues fixed here, but for now, just hang out.
Yeah, I mean, magic is magic. As long as I'm watching, I mean, like, it's either you're watching two top 8 Pro Tour competitors playing or a Hall of Famer and a 2-time world champion playing, so.
Yeah, that is a coin I am willing to flip.
I will take either side.
I do see that Shuhei just resolved an Obzon Charm for 2 cards, though. One thing about his deck is that it can certainly go toe-to-toe with Shahar's as far as card advantage goes.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, usually the Esper deck is like, I'm gonna grind you out attrition-wise, and then I'm just going to refill my hand. But with, Abzan Charms and Siege Rhinos, it's like, you're essentially getting 2-for-1s with a lot of your cards.
That's right. So. And yeah, the Abzan Charms just are straight up 2-for-1s. There's Crux of Fate to kill, I'm assuming, an Ojutai.
Yes, that was an Ojutai he named Dragons, presumably.
Yeah.
Or he named non-dragons.
I kind of like this view.
You get
to take a look at how the players interact. Let's jump over to Mike Sigrist versus Adrian Sullivan.
Oh, we're actually going to stay.
We'll just go. Yeah, just whenever you're ready there, director guy.
Perfect.
All right, we did it.
Gorgeous.
We made a magic match.
Yeah, and this is the second Ojutai for Shenhar.
Rashad Miller should probably work in like NASCAR doing pit stops or something. He fixed that thing so quick.
Yeah, and I think he's actually good at changing tires too.
Yeah.
So what could possibly go wrong?
Yeah. All right, so
Ojutai's Ojutai's a dude.
Yeah, I was going to say, as we come back into this game,
Actually,
clearly favoring Shenhar here. He has Dragonlord Ojutai up with all of his mana available. Shuhei Nakamura has no board state to speak of and is actually behind in the damage race as well. So
which is awkward for the Abzan.
Yeah, things looking really good for Shenhar here.
So.
You'll often see this line of play where the players will trade resources, and then at the end of it, you'll see Dragonlord Ojutai, and he gets to keep it and then protect it. He can use the cards in his hand to, counter any removal spells that Shuhei might have for it, and then of course if you've ever seen Dragonlord Ojutai go, it just starts fueling itself.
Yeah, and which is what you have to do, because like your deck has no other targets for like the Abzan deck's removal. So
right.
If they have in game one at least, when they have Heroes Downfalls and even their Crux of Fates, like the only creatures that they're going to kill from you are like basically your 5 dragons. So
it's kind of interesting here. Shuhei actually has 2 copies of Heroes Downfall in his hand, so he might be able to sneak one through. Shenhar just on 1 card. Yeah, I think he's only on 1. So the question is, does he want to play a threat first? And he's going to play a Den Protector face down first, play a land, and then leave up that Hero's Downfall, it looks like. And as a precautionary measure...
Just get that second Ojutai.
Yeah, Shahar's going to use his Haven to get back the other Dragonlord Ojutai. I think he can sense that this one's probably not long for this world.
Yes. Actually, what's the second card in this? Oh, that's the Ojutai. I see Polluted Delta Ojutai, and what else?
I think it might have been a Silumgar. Yeah, it's a Silumgar.
So he has no counterspells then. So this guy's just dead.
Yeah, this guy's just dead, but I think that Shenhar sensed that was coming, and that's why he's sort of setting up to be able to just immediately reload with another Dragonlord Ojutai here.
Or he can play Dragonlord Silumgar and steal this Den Protector.
It is true. Can
that would be sweet if
flip it? No, he doesn't have the ability to do that.
That would be real sweet.
This is pretty nice, though.
I'm gonna take a gander at this. What did I just take?
Shockingly, it was a Den Protector.
To the surprise of no one.
Yeah, certainly not to the surprise of Shenhar.
I guess it could have been a Deathmist Raptor, but that seems unlikely. Boop. That's just brutal, especially because you're able to get your Hero's Downfall back.
Yeah, that's huge.
Which kills the second Ojutai
That's right. Yeah, that's massive. So there's actually a lot of pressure on Shahar's draw step, because right now Shuhei, if he wants, could play that Siege Rhino. He's just going to pass, like you said, so he can make sure to use that Den Protector.
Do you remember a time where blue had better card advantage than other colors?
It's so weird. It's so weird that this thing can just go toe to toe with green, black, white is all of a sudden outdrawing the blue deck.
Yeah, I mean, like in your green creature, it's a 3/2. Like your Eternal Witness is now a 3/2, and it can't be blocked.
Air quotes unblockable.
Yes, yeah, like it's just.
No, I know it's weird. Things have changed definitely. I don't hate it. It does feel weird though.
Yeah. And like recently, I was playing a deck where you put Night Howler on Den Protector, and it's just like, oh well, now it's 7/6.
I saw some of that.
You don't have any 7 power creatures,
yeah.
So take 7.
Take 7? Question mark?
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen that. That's pretty nasty.
And the question mark usually turns into a period, and that's the end.
Yeah.
So yeah, it seems like Shuhei not really regretting his choice at the moment to play Abzan Control.
He's going to actually get Elspeth back. Yeah, he knows that Shenhar would have had to top deck the 1 removal spell there. Or excuse me, the 1 counter spell is what I meant to say, yeah.
It's like, you know what, I have time. I'll wait.
Yeah, this is great.
Elspeth, he just reloads with it if he has to. Like, you can just win the game with the 2 creatures on board. And he still has Hero's Downfall in hand as well. Or did he use both? He used 1 on Ojutai,
he used both, yeah. He has the Elspeth in his hand.
I was of the impression that he was getting it back with Den Protector, but instead he just got Elspeth.
Yeah, so. He just decided to go big. I mean, no board state, and this plays right into it as well. I mean, Shenhar is representing Silumgar's Scorn here, but I don't think we know, and I think Shuhei has a pretty good idea that Shenhar doesn't have it as well. So
he's like, "Come on, buddy, we know what's going on." See, the thing is, like, Shuhei has 7 power on board. If he attacks, Shenhar goes to 4, and the other Siege Rhino in his hand brings him to 1. So, I mean, it's risky because Ojutai can look. You're essentially looking at the top 4 cards in the next turn or so.
Right, he's going to play Elspeth. The question is he making tokens, or is he going to kill basically his Siege Rhino and the Ojutai? And
I think I would have attacked before I played Elspeth, but I mean, I'm not Shuhei, so
it is kind of interesting.
Because then at least if he might not block,
Right. But if he does now, I feel like he's just even further behind, right?
Yeah, you're still fine even if he blocks.
Yeah, I think that the play from Shuhei's side of the equation here is he needs to know if Elspeth is resolving before he can figure out
That's
what
a
his
good point.
plan
Yes,
is here. Yeah,
that's exactly what. Yeah, because if it does, if you attack first and then it doesn't resolve, you're like, oh, well, this is awkward.
right.
So
So he makes sure. So Elspeth has hit. He's offered the trade. Shahar can say, okay, fine, I'll block. It does feel likely that Shuhei will kill Dragonlord and Siege Rhino. I think that he knows that Shahar's out of gas in hand, and he just needs to keep him off of
yeah,
it.
like
And a free anticipate at this point in the game could be pretty nasty.
oh yeah, because I mean, you're just looking for like a sweeper or like
Yeah.
an Ugin.
If he
Like
finds
Ugin would
Crux,
be amazing.
yeah, it's terrible for him. So he also just loses Elspeth in that scenario if he pluses and makes 3 counters or
So
3
like
tokens.
yeah, it looks like he took 4 and then -3 to Elspeth.
Yeah, that's definitely the line I would have assumed he would have taken.
I mean, like that's still great for Shuhei.
Yeah, Shuhei's in a great
5,
spot here.
Makes 3 guys.
Yeah, it looks like Shahar just accidentally hit the top card of his library with his pen. Or actually, they're making sure it wasn't. No, it was actually in his graveyard. Yeah, he flipped it right back on top.
that's where you want it to be.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah, but
so what do you think? You're Shuhei. Do you see Drano here or not? Or do you just say, you know what, I got Elspeth, I'm good?
I don't. Yeah, I just say go. Yeah, because if Shahar did find some type of sweeper effect here, you'd want to be able to follow up, and that's going to do it.
Jeez.
Shahar Shenhar loses to Shuhei Nakamura.
Apparently Elspeth is still a card.
The old school vet, teaching the young pup a thing or two here in the feature match area. We're early in the day.
True. I guess even if you win 2 world championships, you can still learn a thing or two about Magic the Gathering.
Well, Shuhei's won. We'll be glad to teach you.
Shuhei's won quite a bit as well.
Yes.
Undoubtedly.
Yeah, he has actually 4 trillion pro points. I looked it up last night.
I thought it was 4.5
no,
trillion.
it's 4 trillion. He hasn't quite hit
so
that plateau
okay.
yet. Yeah.
I overshot a little bit.
Yeah.
Which is an easy mistake to make. 0.5 trillion for these guys. It's just...
It's a couple of years of hard work.
0.5 trillion.
All right, so let's jump back over to our other match on the left-hand side. We have Adrian Sullivan. That's Mike Sigrist on the right. Rumbling and bumbling here with his, looks like mid-range Abzan deck. I see a Death Miss Raptor.
It's an interesting situation because it looks like really bad for Adrian, but on the same hand, like, a lot of times the control deck could just be fine in this position. You're just like, all right, I'm just waiting for a count. I'm just waiting to play this Crux of Fate in hand, and then I'll kill all your guys.
Which is what we saw early too. I think that.
Oh, I stand corrected.
Well, I mean, you didn't know life totals.
This specific situation was apparently different.
So Sigrist wins that game. That's going to put us in a game 3 here.
Yep, Adrian won the first game. We saw that actually, and we just caught the end of this one. So let's take a look at these decks. So Adrian's playing just blue-black, no white in this one. And it looks like Mike Sigrist is... he's playing also an Abzan control list. So very similar to the last match. Mike Sigrist actually has Death Miss Raptor and Den Protector. He has Satyr Wayfinder, which is an interesting addition. But it's pretty sweet because it gets the Death Miss Raptors into the graveyard.
Wow, pretty extensive sideboarding here from Sigrist.
Yeah, that's...
He's he does the whole thing where you shuffle in the 15.
Shuffles in the 15 and then takes 15
but I think he
out.
actually did bring in a fair number of cards here.
Well, in the sideboard he has Glare of Heresy, which is not going to do anything. Arishan Cleric, not going to do anything. Ultimate Price, not going to do anything. Murderous Cut, not going to do anything. Drown and Sar, not going to do anything. Dramoka's Command, does that do anything? I don't think so. Wingmate Rock and Wonduress. So I can see him bringing in like Wonduress, but that's
he just has Wonduress.
I think he has Wonduress.
Yeah, all right. So he's just pump faking over here.
He has like two Dramoka's Command, which I don't think is
he's just
very
keeping
good.
him off balance a little.
Yeah, that's basically it. Like, there's no real... He doesn't really have much control tech in the sideboard.
He does seem really well set up for the matchup,
the main deck seems fine because you have infinite Den Protectors and Death Miss Raptors.
Yeah.
And if you can just start recycling those guys... I mean, I imagine Adrian has some amount of Perilous Vaults in here. Which is good against those guys because it exiles them. It looks like he has 3 Perilous Vaults in the main deck.
Yeah, that's huge.
He does not have a 4th in the sideboard, though, so we're maxing out on 3.
Yeah, that does seem huge. Those Perilous Vaults are definitely what Sigrist does not want.
Yeah, and it's what you want. Like, you even want an over Crux of Fate sometimes, just because, like, you kill, like, 2 Death Miss Raptors, and then they just go, face down Den Protector, go.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's super awkward. It's like you did nothing.
That happens all the time, too.
Yeah,
And it's what these things are designed
Death
to do.
Mesh Raptor's a dude. Plus, it gets rid of Elspeth from Mike Sigrist. It gets rid of, like, you know, everything else as well. You know, Siege Rhinos, Coursers of Crufix, pretty much everything else he has. So it's just a great catch-all. The only problem is that it's permanent, so it exposes itself for a turn. So if Mike had something like Reclamation Sage, he has a definite window to kill it, unless Adrian has 9 mana. Ah, the old pre-game 3 handshake.
You know, Adrian Sullivan's good for it.
He's good. He is good for it. You're right.
He'll get you. Very ever the sportsman.
Incredibly hospitable gentleman. Oh, the old mulligan. It looks like.
Yeah,
He's like, I'm gonna check the first 4.
I'm gonna go deep
sure.
here. Yeah. Now I'm assuming that Siggy has kept though.
Yeah, he put his hand. The hand is old, face down. I'll stay. The old Austin Powers. Sir, you're at 7. I also like to live dangerously.
Do you think Sigrist said that to Sullivan there?
Mulligan to 3. Sir, you're at 3. Mulligan again.
Alright, so let's see the 6-card opener here for Sullivan.
He stopped at 4 and I was like, wait, did we miss something?
Alright, let's see what he's got.
Alright. That looks, I mean, from my vantage point, that looks keepable.
He's got a keeper.
Couple lands, couple spells. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, as they say. A classic.
Yeah.
Tale as old as time right there.
So let's get a look at Mike's hand. So he's got a Death Mist Raptor, which is not going to be taken here.
And a Den Protector.
An Abzan Charm and a Den Protector. Also a Satyr Wayfinder and a Thoughtseize. I'm assuming he's going to take the Abzan Charm or the Den Protector. If he wants to protect his hand, he could take the Thoughtseize, but I can't imagine that Adrian has something that he needs to fire off so soon.
Yeah, right. Like, it's...
Like, he doesn't have that many win cons. A lot of his cards are somewhat interchangeable. Den Protector's a major issue for his deck.
Depending on what he has in hand, he might even take the Thoughtseize. He might have ways to deal with the creatures, but not want those ways to be... Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Thoughtseize is just like...
It's just so hard to deal with these creatures.
And
like, what does dealing with these creatures look like? Is it just Perilous Vault?
Thoughtseizing someone and taking their Thoughtseize is such a weird play because it's just literally you're breaking even. But the information you gain is so relevant. Like, you're able to sculpt your entire game plan based on knowing what they have, you know?
Oh, yeah, that's for sure.
So you're going to play this on turn 2, so I don't do this on turn... then you have this coming down on turn 3, and it's just such a great way to have to formulate a plan. And whereas you're denying your opponent that by taking their Thoughtseize, so...
And there's that Wayfinder for Mike Sigrist. He's a GP champ.
Mike Sigrist is a GP champ.
Wow, and you can see why he hits a Death Mist Raptor off of his
That's what did it, yeah.
Satyr Wayfinder. That's how you do it there, Siggy.
Well, we are in Vegas, so
yeah,
you gotta have a little luck.
Spin the wheel, and he also hit a land, of course, so things moving forward quite nicely for Sigrist.
Look at these classy islands that Adrian's playing.
Yeah, those are pretty sweet.
Was that Urza's?
Those are Urza's, yeah. The Gears one, I don't remember which one that is.
See, here's the funny thing. Urza's Destiny is the flask because it looks kind of like a D.
Okay.
If you stretch it,
sure.
The Saga is a gear because you can kind of go around the gear and make an S.
Okay.
And Legacy is the hammer because it kind of looks like an L.
Holy crap.
That's how I learned how to remember Urza's Legacy, Saga, and Destiny.
Jesus, you got it all, Frank.
I could never remember which is which.
I can't
so
either,
like,
but
I'm
now
just
I
gonna
will.
associate these with the shapes.
I love it.
You'll probably never forget that.
I won't. All right, and there's a Death Mist Raptor. He can confidently just slam that onto the table because if Adrian counters it, which he's... spoke too soon. Dissipate is going to exile it.
No one expects the Dissipate.
Right, and there we go. Ashiok Nightmare Weaver when Mike Sigrist has the shields relatively down, just the one Satyr Wayfinder, and bang, bang, even taking away another of his Death Mist Raptors.
Worth noting we just exiled 2 Death Mist Raptors.
That's right. Really nice.
I think you cannot run hotter than that. If you're Adrian Sullivan.
Yeah, he is running hot. There is no doubt.
Man, do you just keep ticking up Ashiok, or do you actually put one of these guys into play, you think?
Depends on what Sigrist does this turn, but you could absolutely put the Raptor in play if
and
you
just keep
wanted.
Ashiok around.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, the thing is, Adrian's deck is relatively low on win conditions, so I don't think he can like cash in Ashiok for a Siege Rhino or whatever.
Because you're not gonna. That's not a long game plan.
Yeah, he needs to have a longer
Meanwhile,
game plan.
if you keep ticking up Ashiok, it forces Mike to apply more and more pressure to the board, which might be exactly what Adrian wants. Just set you up to knock him down. You know.
Oh yeah, a little whack-a-mole.
Yep. You line him up. I figured. I think. Does Mike miss a land?
He misses land drop here for the turn. This is a
no bueno.
This is a major issue.
Yep. Adrian just says, "Let's." I like how he's like, "I'm not going to go to 6. I'm going to go to 4 and 2."
This one goes to 6, but
those are 4-sided dice. In case anyone was curious.
Yeah. All right, pass the turn back, and Adrian Sullivan also does not play a land for the turn, but that can't be great news for Sigrist.
I think that's just confidence, actually. Adrian's just like, you know what? You're not going to take one of these die off.
Just sending a message?
Next turn, so...
Yeah. Yeah, man, Siggy would have loved to hit those 2 last land drops, because then he could have played Den Protector if he had an untapped land this turn
and then
had it available for flippage. But as it stands, if he plays a Den Protector face down here, although it does look like he has 2 copies in hand, so he can run one out. But if it were to die, he's not going to get those 2 Deathmiss Raptors
Or
back.
similarly, if he had the other lands, like we mentioned, he would have been able to place Wingmate Rock rated. Both of which are pretty solid plays.
All right, now Adrian can play the Siege Rhino because he's got a little bit of clearance on the Ashiok there. Still Ashiok alive at 1, and he's going to immediately fire off Hero's Downfall to take down the Maternal Witness there.
Yeah, and I think I'd rather get a Siege Rhino than a Deathmiss Raptor, because if he does have a way to kill it, then the Deathmiss Raptor just goes to the well, that's going to exile it, but...
All right, this was a nice swing here. Yeah, now it stays exiled. That's right for Adrian. But that was a great swing for Sigrist. He fired off Abzan Charm to kill his own Siege Rhino and finish off Ashiok. That was the important part about that turn.
This is very indicative of what Standard is right now. Like, there's a lot of big swings. Like, you can think the game is completely going in your direction, but then it just turns around in, like, one turn.
Yes, very swingy.
I think it's just the power of cards. Like, the power of cards nowadays is just so high. And digging through time. I like being able to only dig for a specific number of cards, or a delve rather. Like, if I'm able to use 5 mana and only have to delve 3 cards, that's always nice, because cards in the graveyard are good in this format anyway.
Yeah, especially with how often you chain a dig into a dig. That's a pretty common sequence.
And so on.
Yep.
The old Temple of Malady, just for a black Scryland. You're not even playing any green cards. Someone played Opulent Palace against me, and I was just like, oh, Sultai. And then it was actually just blue-black. So it's very, I mean, you have to, it's worth noting that, like, Opulent Palace is just a blue-black dual land that comes into play tapped. It just happens to add green, too. A lot of people don't look at cards like that, and they're just like, well, it adds green, and I'm not playing green. But you just have to disregard it.
All right, so Siege Rhino, Sigrist's signature card here, and as mentioned...
Signs.
Wow.
That's Adrian's signature card.
He one-ofs those, and there's Tassiger. This is the brutal interaction. Of course, the converted mana cost on these delve cards is very high. Usually you don't end up paying that much mana to actually play them, but if Tassiger's on top of your library,
Adrian
bang.
Sullivan just drew 6 cards off of an Interpret the Signs. Welp. I mean, Mike's board is better, but I have to imagine Adrian just loaded up on removal spells. He has to discard a Thoughtseize.
All right, so Siggy's able to start getting his beat down on here.
11. Adrian's still a healthy 11. 11's not too shabby.
He is going to need something pretty soon, but you got to figure after drawing literally 1 trillion cards, he's going to be able to find an answer
I imagine there's something.
That was unbelievable. Can you imagine being in Sigrist's scene and just have to watch Adrian gleefully peel 6 cards off the top of his...
I mean, you think Dragon's Prerogative is good when they draw 4 and then interpret the signs. You interpret 6 signs. And the problem is, like, even if he has Perilous Vault, it still costs 9 for both halves. So it's like... I have to hope he has, like, Crux of Fate if you're Adrian Sullivan. You have to... Hope you just have a sweeper.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Sigrist has much of another game plan. Well, he actually knocks the top card. What, you needed more than 6? What is wrong with you, Adrian?
This is not good enough. He might not have just hit it. He might. Yeah, like, I feel like he needs a very specific answer right now. Plus, he has a Den Protector, and Mike can just flip it face up.
which would get back, I think, a pair of Death Mist Raptors.
But even more than that, like it just gets him back another Den Protector, maybe.
Yeah.
So I mean, because if Adrian has Crux, if AD Crux is in response, Mike flips up Den Protector, gets back Den Protector, and then he's threatening
the loop
Den
is live.
Right? Yeah,
Yeah.
the loop is live, quite literally.
Yeah.
Here's the Tasigur. Actually, Tasigur is pretty decent against Sigrist Rhino or Siege Mist Rhino. That's not a card at all. Siege Rhino.
I thought you called it Sigrist Rhino, which is also not too far off. He's done a lot of work with that card.
Oh, and there's all right,
there she. So it looks like
Mike's like, you gotta win this turn.
Yeah. So Tasigur's just gonna hold off the team, part of the team for a short while here.
This might be game actually. Abzan Charm, get rid of Tasigur. Attack for 4 or 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14.
Yep. That should be the
actually,
GGs, right?
If Adrian has Murderous Cut in hand.
Where's his graveyard? I think he killed his graveyard for Tasigur, yeah. Because he needed to play. Yeah, he did. Yeah.
I have a bad feeling about this.
Yeah, so this is Mike Sigrist closing out the game here against Sullivan.
If only Dispel was legal.
Get rid of that. 3, 6, 10.
I will tap this. And,
tap concede.
And put Handshake on the stack.
All right, so Mike Sigrist wins his first round of action here against Adrian Sullivan. A valiant effort.
That's my only fear about that blue-black control deck is that it's very slow. Like, it takes a lot of turns to set up, and then once you're like.